Hello students, welcome back to the class. Today we will going to discuss a very important property, and that is, you can say, the most important aspect factor which you are going to use in the coming classes. So we will talk about the electronegativity. Electronegativity is a measure of the tendency of an atom to attract a bonded pair of electron towards itself. So it means it is not the property of an single isolated atom. It is the property that occurs only in case of covalent molecules, in which the bond is found by sharing of electrons. The Pauling scale is the most commonly used. Fluorine is the most electronegative element, assigned a value of 4. Okay? And the elements like cesium and francium, they are the least electronegative, that is 0.7, but that value is determined by the Pauling scales, where an arbitrary value of 4 has been assigned to the fluorine. What if the two bonded atoms are of same or equal electronegativity? Consider a bond between two atoms A and B. If the atoms are equally electronegative, both have the same tendency to attract the bonding pair of electron, and so it will be found on an average halfway between the two atoms. So you can't say that the electron pair goes closer to any one of them. Okay, otherwise, what will happen? The electron pair of the covalent bond will slightly move towards the more electronegative atom. I am repeating once more. The electron pair of the bond, will move slightly closer towards the more electronegative atom. So, to get a bond like that, A and B should have the same value. That could be called as a pure covalent bond. That in case of H2, chlorine, fluorine, bromine, oxygen, nitrogen. So all of them have a covalent bond formation in between the two atoms which are equal in electronegativity. It is important to note that happens only, they, you may call them as the homoatomic molecules. The electrons are actually in a molecular orbitals and are moving around within that orbital. So what I am trying to say that in case of atom, the electrons are present in atomic orbitals, but in case of molecules, the atoms are present in molecular orbitals. So what is the conclusion drawn from here? That electronegativity is not an isolated atom property. Okay, electronegativity come into force only when the two atoms are covalently bonded. If the two atoms are not covalently bonded, the question of arising of the electronegativity does not take place. Now, electronegativity is generally shown by the symbol chi. This is called as symbol chi. Okay, the electronegativity is directly proportional to effective nuclear charge. Greater the effective nuclear charge, more will be the electronegativity. Inversely proportional to size. So, smaller the size, more is the electronegativity. Positive oxidation state, higher the positive value of the oxidation state, more will be the electronegativity. And S character in hybridization, because hybridization can be sp, sp2, sp3, that you will going to learn in the next chapter, but still a little bit idea should be in your mind. Okay, so in case of sp, there are two orbitals are there, one s and one p, so 50% is s. In sp2, three orbitals are there, one s and two p, so the s character is 33. So definitely 50% sp got more electronegativity than what, 30% sp2. Now let's look at that. What happens when B is slightly more electronegative than A? If B is slightly more electronegative than A, then B will attract the electron pair towards itself. Why? Because it is more electronegative than the A. So electron pair will come closer to the more electronegative atom. This means that B end of the bond has more than its fair share of electron than the bond density. Now, if two elements are of same kind, electron density is exactly in between them. But if B is more electronegative, the electron density will be closer to B. You get the idea? So, B becomes slightly negative at the same time. So, you can say that it is slightly negative, that is slightly positive. Slightly means delta. This symbol is called delta. So at the same time, A rather is short of electrons, so becomes slightly positive. So in the diagram, delta is written, means slightly. Okay, so what can you say? You can say it is slightly positive and it is slightly negative. A polar bond is a covalent bond in which there is a separation of charge between one and other atom. Okay, sure about that? For example, in case of HCl, what can you have? Chlorine being more electronegative and hydrogen being this. Okay, similarly, what happens in case of water? Now, in case of water also, that is slightly negative, that is slightly positive. Okay, similarly, in case of what? In case of HBr also, slightly negative, slightly positive. Even in case of two atoms having high electronegativity value, like if you have what? If you have ClF3 like that, then what will happen? Fluorine being more electronegative will get slightly negative character and chlorine will get positive character. So if B is more electronegative than A, then electron pair is dragging right over to B. So the atom which is more electronegative, the electron pair will definitely come closer to it. Okay, and that closeness of the electron pair towards one of the atom will impart a polarity in the molecular. So one of the bond will get some depreciation in electrons, the other atom will get an appreciation of electrons. So the atom which will get an appreciation of electron will be delta negatively charged, and the atom away from which the electrons are being dragged away, that will carry the slight positive charge. Okay, are we sure that? So here what happens? Electron pair is slightly displaced. Here the word that should be the correct word should be displacement. That the electron pair is displaced. If the electron is being completely transferred, then that bond is a ionic bond. Okay, in case of HCl, the electron pair is slightly displaced towards chlorine. But in case of NaCl, what would happen? One of the electron in Na will go to the orbitals of Cl. So it does not become slightly positive or slightly negative. It becomes completely negative and completely positive. Why? Because in polar bond, the electron pair is displaced. But in case of ionic bond, what happens? the electron is being completely transferred, completely lost, completely gained. Are you getting that or not? So that's how these two things are different. I am repeating once more. In polar bond, the electron pair are displaced towards more electronegative atom. But in case of ionic bond, what happens? Electron being completely transferred to the more electronegative atom. Okay, bete? So now we will talk about the pattern of the electronegativity in the periodic table. The distance of the electron from the nucleus remains relatively constant in a periodic table, but not in a periodic column. So what happens that if you move left to right in a period, you will not observe so high change in the size. But if you move top to bottom, definitely there is a bigger difference in the size. So here what happens? Here the value in this case, force given by K, charge 1 into charge 2 divided by distance square. Now K represent a term, I should call that K is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So 4 pi epsilon naught is called permittivity of the space, how the space is allowing the two charges to interact. So Q represents the charge, K represents a constant, that is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and R is the distance between the two charges. Okay, so now when R equal to 2, R square is equal to 4. When R equal to 3, it becomes 9. If R equal to 4, it becomes 16. So it means that if distance here, very very important, because if R becomes double, actually the force becomes 1 by 4. If the R becomes 3 times, the force becomes 1 by 9 times less. So it means distance is very very important role to play. Are you getting that or not? If the distance becomes 4 times the first case, then what can happen? The force can be 1 by 16th of the first case. So the increase in the size is somewhat less, but decrease in the force will be comparatively much more. Are you getting that? The result of this change is that electronegativity increases from bottom to top in the column. So bottom to top, what happens? Distance between the nucleus and the electron density decreases. If you move bottom to top, top to bottom, inverse. So bottom to top, there will be increase in electronegativity, but top to bottom, there will be decrease in electronegativity. Are you sure about that? Even though there are more protons in the element at the bottom, elements at the top of the column have greater electronegativity. Now, why? It means because the distances play here much more role than the you can say number of protons, and more importantly, it is not the number of proton in the nucleus that matter. It is the effective nuclear charge that is matter. That because if as the number of proton in the nucleus increases, similarly number of electron in the shells are also increasing. So what happens? The valence electron, they experience more repulsion from the inner electrons. Okay, so that you have to keep into mind also. The overall, so I am repeating once more, as we move down the group, electronegativity decreases. The overall trend of the electronegativity in the periodic table is diagonal from the lower left corner to the upper right corner. Since the electronegativity of the most important matter cannot be determined by the trends, so we have to memorize some order. So fluorine most electronegative, then oxygen, then chlorine, then nitrogen, then bromine, then iodine, then sulfur, carbon, then hydrogen, and then the metals. Although the fluorine has been assigned an arbitrary value of what? Arbitrary value of 4. Okay, there are 3 different scales are there. They are called as Pauling scale, Allard-Rocco scale, and Mulliken scale. In among them, the Pauling scale is the most important one because it depends upon the actual experimental value, that are the thermodynamics value. So thermodynamics plays very important role. So that's why Pauling scale has been accepted. Since the electronegativity of the some important elements cannot be determined by these trends, they lie in the diagonals, so better to memorize them. We have just taken into account, so fluorine, oxygen, chlorine, nitrogen, bromine, iodine, sulfur, carbon, so you should memorize that. But the trend can be easily seen that from left to right increases, that from lithium, okay, what can you say, if you go from what, if you go across from lithium to beryllium, then beryllium to boron, then boron to carbon, then to nitrogen, then to oxygen, and then to fluorine, what happens? Electronegativity continuously increases due to what? Increase in effective nuclear charge. Similarly, if you go from fluorine to chlorine, then chlorine to bromine, and bromine to iodine, that is down the group, it decreases. So top to bottom decreases, but left to right increases. So increases in a period, decreases in a group. That is very simple. Trends in electronegativity across the period. First we calculate in the period, in a given period, not in each and every period it happens. In a given period, left to right, from what happens? So from carbon to fluorine increases. Similarly, from silicon to chlorine again increases. So you can say carbon less electronegative than nitrogen, less than oxygen, less than fluorine. Similarly, silicon less electronegative than phosphorus, less than sulfur, less than chlorine. So these trends are to be memorized in your mind. Okay, you should have to be what? You have to, I'm repeating once more, what happens here? Okay, in the second period, what happens? Carbon less than nitrogen, less than oxygen, less than fluorine. In third period, silicon less than phosphorus, less than sulfur, less than chlorine. So you have to memorize that if you go from left to right in the period, electronegativity increases due to increase in effective nuclear charge. So let's move and learn that the positively charged protons in the nucleus attract the negatively charged electrons. As the number of protons in the nucleus increases, the electronegativity or attraction will increases. Therefore, electronegativity increases from left to right in the period. Now, again coming back to the main fundamental question, electronegativity is what? The ability to attract a shared pair of electron towards itself. So it means the power to attract electron towards itself will increase with the increase in effective nuclear charge. So if the element has more effective nuclear charge, it has the more ability to attract electron pair towards itself. Now coming back again to the next stage, that is, what is the trend of electronegativity across the period? Now as we move across a period, the electronegativity increases. The chart shows electronegativity increase from sodium to chlorine. You can see that here. Okay, there is a gradual increase in what? There is gradual increase in electronegativity. you have to ignore the organ. It does not have an electronegativity because it does not have bonds. So why? So someone asks you why noble gases do not have electronegativity. The reason being that what? Reason being that they do not have combining ability also. So helium, neon, argon. But nowadays what happens? Some compounds of xenon and radons are known. So the electronegativity of xenon and radon can be established by using the Pauling scale. So what can we say in trends in electronegativity of the group? Now as we move down the group, the electronegativity decreases. If it increases up to fluorine, then it decreases as we go down. So you can easily see that. Okay, lithium to cesium, there is a gradual decrease. From fluorine to astenine, there is gradual decrease. So there is a decrease in group 17, that is halogen. So okay, so there is a gradual decrease down the group, and there is a gradual increase across the period. Okay, remember that electronegativity increases if we move what? Left to right in period, and it decreases if we move top to bottom. Okay, in any case, if you go from oxygen, then to sulfur, then to germanium, selenium, then to selenium, in all the cases what will happen? It decreases. So top to bottom in the group decreases. Now we have to come into account that why does electronegativity increases across the period. Now why it increases across the period? The reason being that the number of the effective nuclear charge. So what can you say? Effective nuclear charge increases left to right in period. Look at that, sodium has only 11 proton, but chlorine has 17 protons. But the difference in size is not much. But number of protons there will be, I am repeating once more, sodium to chlorine, the decrease in size is not so much, but increase in nuclear charge is very high. Okay, sure about that? So electronegativity increases across the period because the number of charges or the nuclear charge increases. So these attract the bonded pair of electron more strongly. Then why does electronegativity falls? The reason being that the size. Okay, as we move down the group, what happens? Size increases. So the shielding effect of the valence electron, okay, that is also not effective enough. So in the case of the lower member, that is upper member of the group, the valence electrons are shielded well, but as we move down the group, the valence electrons are not shielded well. So the bonding pair is shielded from the fluorine only by 1s2 electron. Now if you go by fluorine, there is 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 5. So this is nth shell, that is n minus 1th shell. So shielding by the own group, own n member are less, but shielding by inner shell is more. But here only 2 electrons are being shielded. But if consider the case of chlorine, in case of chlorine, this is nth shell, this is n minus 1th shell, this is n minus 2 shell. So what happens? Here number of inner electrons are more. So what happens? So in case of chlorine, it is shielded by all the 10 electrons, that is 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. But in case of fluorine, shielded by only 1s2. So what happens? So here, there is a net pull of center of the fluorine or the chlorine of +7. But fluorine has a bonding pair of 2 level rather than 3 level in chlorine. So it is closer to the nucleus. So since in case of chlorine, the nuclear attraction is comparatively less. But in case of fluorine, the nucleus attraction is comparatively large. So it means here effective nuclear charge is playing very important part. So as the electronegativity decreases as we move down the group, the two various factors that is coming to account, that there would be a decrease in effective nuclear charge and there is an increase in size. So in case of group, what happens? Atomic size increases plus effective nuclear charge decreases. So you can say that valence electron of fluorine are more firmly held by the nucleus than valence electron of chlorine. I am repeating once more. Valence electron of fluorine are much more tightly held by valence electron of chlorine. So that's why fluorine is more electronegative, or you can say the most electronegative. Now here can we see that electronegativity, it is the tendency of an atom to attract the shared pair of electron towards itself. Greater the effective nuclear charge, greater is the electronegativity. Smaller the atomic radius, greater is the electronegativity. Electronegativity increases in moving from left to right in a period. And why? Because there is a decrease in atomic size and increase in effective nuclear charge. I am repeating this concept once more. Electronegativity increases on moving from left to right in a period due to decrease in atomic size and increase in effective nuclear charge. Memorize that completely. Okay? Memorize that point also. Tendency of an atom in a molecule to attract shared pair of electron is called electronegativity. Electronegativity decreases as we move down the group due to increase in atomic size, due to increase in number of shells and decrease in effective nuclear charge. So here what happens? It is increasing. And if you move down, it is decreases. Okay? Are you sure about that? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Fluorine is most electronegative, iodine is least electronegative. Oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, polonium. Oxygen is most electronegative, polonium is least electronegative. Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. Nitrogen is most electronegative, bismuth is least electronegative. Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. In fact, lead is electropositive in nature. Carbon is electronegative. Boron is most electronegative. Boron, aluminium, gallium, tin, thallium are in fact aluminium onward also. They are pure metals in nature. Okay? So memorize that. Sure? I am repeating once more. Electronegativity increases left to right in a period and electronegativity decreases top to bottom in a group. Sure? Now again, electronegativity increases left to right across the period. Elements on the left of the periodic table have low electronegativity and are often called electropositive element. Look at that, what they are saying. These are all electropositive. They are all what? Electropositive. The order of electronegativity is oxygen, fluorine more than oxygen, nitrogen more than carbon is an important property that will usefully explain the chemical property in case of organic compounds. Electronegativity decreases from top to bottom within the element. So order of decreasing electronegativity: fluorine more than chlorine more than bromine more than iodine. So look at that table once more. Here you can see that a continuous increase from 0.9 to 2.5 to 3. Lithium from 1 to there is a increase up to 4. There is a continuous decrease from 4 to 2.5. So you can easily see all these trends. Left to right increase, top to bottom decrease. Okay. Now very interesting feature is the how the various electronegativity values can be determined. Now the acceptable scale is the Pauling scale, and chi is the symbol of what? Chi is the symbol of electronegativity. So what is the criteria taken by Pauling? That unlike ionization energy and electron gain enthalpy, electronegativity is not a measurable quantity. Pauling scale is most acceptable because it used the thermodynamic values, that is bond enthalpy values. Pauling has assigned an arbitrary value of 4 to the fluorine atom. So what happens? He arbitrarily assigned the value of 4 to the fluorine. So electronegativity of fluorine minus electronegativity of any element is equal to what? 0.1017 under root delta. What is delta? That is bond enthalpy of fluorine and that element minus under root of bond enthalpy of fluorine into bond enthalpy of that element. Let us suppose you want to find out HF. So what can you have? Fluorine minus B taken as hydrogen, A is taken as fluorine. Fluorine has been assigned a value of 4. So 4 minus hydrogen you have to find out. So this is the AB. A stand for fluorine, B stand for what? Hydrogen. Bond enthalpy of HF minus square root of bond enthalpy of fluorine into bond enthalpy of hydrogen. You put that value, you will get the answer of hydrogen as 2.1. So simple. That formula is applicable when values are given in kilojoule per mole. In thermodynamic table, all the values are given. If you go back to your NCERT book, in the back pages, all the bond enthalpy values are written there. So you can check that. Now, if the values are given in kilocalorie per mole, then what happens? Then in place of 101, you will get 0.208. Look at the difference. It is 1017 and here it is 0.2. So only difference is what? There the values are given in kilojoule, here the values are given in kilocalories. Nothing else is different. Okay. And the last one is what? Last one is Allard-Rochow scale. So what happens in, so this you already know, I already explained to you. Allard-Rochow scale, that scale is definitely depend upon the Slater rule. So electronegativity of any element is equal to 0.744 plus 0.359 into Z effective divided by radius square. Here radius is covalent radius of that particular element. Okay, I am repeating once more. That is the covalent radii of that element. So Z effective can be calculated from the Slater rule. You put that value there and you will get the electronegativity value. So among three, that is, this is second one, that is Allen-Roche scale, Pauling scale, and third one is what? Third one is Mulliken scale. Here I stand for ionization enthalpy and Eg stand for what? Electron gain enthalpy. So if the values are given in electron volt, you will use the formula ionization enthalpy of element in electron volt plus electron gain in electron volt divided by 2. If the values are given in kilojoule, you will write ionization enthalpy in kilojoule plus electron gain enthalpy in kilojoule divided by 540. Similarly, if the values are given in kilocalorie, what you will write? Ionization enthalpy in kilocalorie plus electron gain enthalpy in kilocalorie divided by 130. So that's how you can find out Mulliken scale. So how these two scale, Mulliken and Pauling, they are correlated. They are correlated as Pauling scale is equal to Mulliken scale divided by 2.8. So you can say that Mulliken values are larger in comparison to Pauling scale. But I am repeating once more, Pauling scale values are accepted values. These values are taken as accepted. Why? Because Pauling values depend upon thermodynamics table. Now remember one more thing, that electronegativity directly proportional to Z effective. So more is the effective charge, more is electronegativity. Electronegativity is 1 by radius. So lesser is the radius, more is electronegativity. Electronegativity directly proportional to ionization enthalpy. Greater the ionization enthalpy, more will be what? More will be electronegativity. More is the electron gain or electron affinity, more will be electronegativity. Larger the charge on the cation, more will be electronegativity. Larger the S characteristic hybridization, more is electronegativity. What can I want to say? That it is Sp, Sp2 and Sp3. So here what happens? S character is 50%. Here S character is 33% and here S character is 25%. So S character is what? Largest here in Sp. So Sp, let us suppose the carbon atom is three types: Sp carbon, Sp2 carbon and Sp3 carbon. Although atom is same, but due to hybridization, Sp carbon is more electronegative than Sp2 carbon. So that is very, very important. Similarly, charge on cation is also important. Like here you can written there that if iron is same, Fe3 plus has more electronegativity than Fe2 plus. Similarly, Sn4 plus has more electronegativity than what? Than Sn2 plus. So greater the charge, greater will be the electronegativity. Okay, sure about that? So these things you have to memorize, which I told you just now. This is very, very important. This is what is very, very important. Very, very important. Similarly, effect of substituent. If electronegativity substituent depend upon the nature of the substituent attached. Okay, let us suppose on carbon fluorine is attached and carbon iodine is attached, then fluorine will pull up more electron than iodine. So these things you have to memorize. Okay, when I say charge, it should be called as positive charge. Why? Anion shows less electronegativity because anions already have rich in electron, so they will repel the approaching electrons. So electronegativity is more effective in case of cations and less effective in case of anions. So I am repeating once more, greater the effective nuclear charge, greater is electronegativity. Or I can say, I will repeat, greater the effective nuclear charge, greater the ionization enthalpy, greater the positive charge, greater the S character, and greater the electron gain enthalpy, then in all the cases electronegativity will be more. only in one case, that is radius. If radius is less, electronegativity is more. So you have to memorize these things very, very importantly. Next thing is very, very important, that is diagonal relationship in a periodic table. Now, in case of periodic table, what happens? Especially in case of second periodic element, lithium, sodium, potassium, and so on. Then you have after lithium, sodium, potassium, you will have what? You will have rubidium. Similarly, after lithium, you will get beryllium, then you will get magnesium, then you will get calcium, then strontium. Now, similarly, you will get boron, aluminium, gallium, like that. Similarly, you have carbon, silicon, germanium. Now, lithium property is similar to magnesium. Lithium has less properties similar to alkali metal, but more properties similar to magnesium. Similarly, beryllium shows similar properties to aluminium. Similarly, boron shows properties similar to silicon. That is called as diagonal relationship. That is called as what? Diagonal relationship. I am repeating once more. Lithium shows properties similar to magnesium. Beryllium shows properties similar to aluminium. And boron shows properties similar to silicon. This is called what? This is called as diagonal relationship. So let's move now with that. At the beginning of the period 2 and 3 of periodic table, there are several cases where an element in the top of the group has properties similar to the element in the next group. So lithium shows less property with reference to its own group, but shows more property similar to magnesium. Three examples are shown in the diagram below. Lithium, magnesium, you can see the same color. Beryllium, aluminium, you can see the same color. And boron, silicon, you can see the same color. Okay? For example, boron is a non-metal with some properties rather than silicon. Unlike the rest of the group 2 element, beryllium has some properties similar to aluminium. And lithium also has some properties similar to what? Magnesium. This is known as diagonal relationship. The cause of diagonal relationship is what? The cause of diagonal relationship is the cause of diagonal relationship is same charge by radius. I am repeating the same charge by radius values. Okay, they have same charge by radius value. Effective nuclear charge divided by the radii. Okay, lithium got the same value that of magnesium. It means both lithium and magnesium have the same ability to affect a given anion or a given atom. Similarly, beryllium and aluminium will have same ability to attract other electronic cloud of the other atom. Similarly, boron and silicon will have the same ability to attract electron cloud of the other atom. Explaining the diagonal relationship with regard to electronegativity. The electronegativity increases across the period. For example, electronegativity of beryllium and boron are given. Electronegativity falls as we go down the period. So you have electronegativity of boron and aluminium. Now you can easily see that beryllium electronegativity and aluminium electronegativity are same. So comparing beryllium and aluminium, they have the same value. So the charge by radius ratio of beryllium and aluminium will be same. So they show what? Same electronegativity values. Means what? It means that beryllium and aluminium have the same ability to affect a electron cloud belongs to an atom. Sure. So similar electronegativity is the cause of what? Is the cause of diagonal relationship. So from group 2 to 3, as you go, ठीक है, electronegativity again decreases. From lithium to magnesium, it increases again. So lithium has, magnesium has nearly, lithium has 1, magnesium has 1.2, boron has 2, and silicon has 1.8. So although they are not the exactly value same, but their ability to attract an electron pair is nearly same. The next point is that the application of electronegativity. The most important part of the electronegativity is the percentage ionic actor. Remember that if the bonded atoms have electronegative difference between equal to greater than equal to what? 1.9, then they will show what? Then they will show ionic character. And if electronegative difference is less than what? 1.9, they will show covalent character. So that is covalent, that is ionic. So electronegativity values are determined by this particular values. So this is called as Haney-Smith rule. What is it called as? Haney-Smith rule. Calculation of partial character in a covalent bond. The electronegativity difference between the two bonded atoms are taken into account. So 16 into electronegativity of element 1 minus electronegativity of atom 2 plus 3.5 difference between square. You will get the percentage ionic character. If percentage ionic character is more than 50%, the bond is called ionic bond. If the percentage ionic character is less than 50, it is called as a covalent bond. Okay, so these scales are given to you now. This is called as Haney-Smith equation. What is it called as? Haney-Smith equation. Are you sure about that? Second is that bond strength. The bond strength is directly proportional to electronegativity difference between the bonded atom. So more the electronegativity difference, more is the strength of the bond. Then bond angle. Bond angle directly proportional to the electronegativity of central atom. More is the electronegativity of the central atom, more will be the bond angle. Similarly, you can see here that also. From nitrogen to antimony, the central element have less electronegativity as we moved on the group. But as the electronegativity of the central atom decreases, the bond angle also decreases. Although more appropriate, so it follows what? Drago rule. We will teach that in chemical bonding also. So these things very important. Okay, first you have to understand that the electronegativity values are useful in determining the dipole moment, then to determine the percentage ionic character, okay, then to find the bond strength, then to find the bond angles. These are the various usefulness of what? Various usefulness of the electronegativity table. Other than that, electronegativity has other application also. In the next class we will discuss that.